This episode brought to you by Appy Couple, the most stylish way to share your wedding. You choose your design, then tell your story. Add and edit photos of your life together from the beginning.
Choose your tribe, your maids, and men. Lay out all the events and details to organize everyone easily.
When, where, childcare, weather, and how to get there.
Your guests can join in on the website and your very own app. From reading your stories to adding their own photos. And of course, you have veto power.
They can get all the event details to the ones that they are invited to. They can also start and join conversations. They can find links to your registries.
Available for Apple and Android devices. Go to fromringtoveil.com/appy. That's fromringtoveil.com/appy. I'm Shannon.
And I'm Kim.
And you are listening to From Ring to Veil,
a wedding planning podcast,
where we share tips and information to help you plan the wedding of your dreams.
Without all the stress.
Neutral wedding colors, episode number 102.
In this episode, we are discussing neutral wedding colors, how to use them, what colors go well together, all that. Are you subscribed to the podcast? Well, don't miss a show. Subscribe to From Ring to Veil anywhere you listen to podcasts. That's iTunes, Stitcher, Google Play. And if you do not know how, you can go to our website, www.fromringtoveil.com. And on the sidebar, there are links to each of those places that you just click. And there's a subscribe button clearly marked on each one of those. If you don't know what to do, let us know and we can help you.
What is a neutral color? By definition, a neutral color includes some hues like beige, black, gray, ivory, taupe, and white. Neutral usually means without color. But these hues sometimes have faint undertones of blue, gold, peach, pink, tan, and yellow.
Kind of like skin.
Right.
Skin is neutral with undertones.
Right. Neutrals are not on the color wheel. If you ever look at a color wheel, they're all mainly primary and secondary colors.
That's right.
So you don't have neutrals on a color wheel, so you can't really compare them to other colors.
Mm-hmm.
People in fashion, decorating, other professionals, like interior designers, use the colors, use neutral colors, and they refer to them as earth tones. And they have a flexibility that you can use them almost anywhere. And they'll kind of blend in with all the other colors.
Right. You know, I think of neutrals definitely as all those colors, but there's also, when you look at a color, let's say pink, there's such a big variety of those colors. You can go from dark, bright, jewel tones to pale, kind of pastels, to even very neutral pink, you know, like very, very light, right? So if you can vision that in your mind or pull it up on Pinterest, one of the two, you can see that colors do have a quote unquote neutral tone to them sometimes. So,
right. And it's usually the subtle tones. And a key to a neutral palette is to be subtle.
Yes.
You don't want a variety of bright colors mixed with neutral tones. If you're going for a neutral color palette, it all has to be kind of on the same plane.
Yes. Very muted.
To give neutrals some depth, pair it with metallics or some kind of sparkle. And you can also do it with natural elements. And we'll get to all of that in a bit.
So let's just start with some color combinations. Just to give you kind of a quick idea of what we're talking about when we say neutral.
Right.
So very light pink and olive.
And it's been a question if olive is a neutral tone because it is a darker green than a neutral color palette. It all depends on the hue that you get.
That's right.
So, I mean, yes, olive can be a dark green, but it also can be down to that scale where it's a muted, washed out green.
That's right. Washed out is good.
Yeah. Almost like a sagey, a sage green.
Right. Well, I mean, if you look at an olive, a green olive, that color's not real bright or real deep. If you just kind of keep in that
Some of them. I mean, it depends on the
hue.
kind of olive.
Right.
We usually think about olives as green, but there are,
a couple different olives. That's true.
So.
The next one would be like an ivory and greenery, which is just real natural, like you said, earth tones.
Gray can be on a scale. from dark to light grays. Grays and organics. What would you call organics? I guess you would say natural elements.
Natural elements, earth tones.
Right. So you can include bark colors in there, rock colors in there, which we'll get down to in a few minutes.
That's right. Then there's silver and golds. Now, you have a really deep silver and gold, or you can have a very muted silver and gold, which those are fairly neutral in themselves.
Right. And this next color palette, I have talked to 3 brides this week with this color palette.
Okay.
3 brides this week with this color palette.
That's
and it's
crazy.
gray, blush, and pale green or sage green. Mm-hmm. And both of them really kind of wanted the same thing.
Wow, that's crazy.
I'm like, okay, let me show you what I came up with the other bride. And they're like, oh, really? I'm like, yeah, do you want to change your color palette? No. Anyway, it's the color palette from 2016 bleeding over into 2017 because they're planning. So they got engaged probably last Christmas or early last winter, early 2016. And they're just now starting their planning. And so the colors from last season or whatever is bleeding over into 2017.
Which
so
I think happens, right?
Yeah, it happens all the time. And these are such classic colors.
Yeah.
They never go out of style. They're not on trend. They're classic.
That's right.
So the grays, the blushes, the peaches. The Juliet Garden Rose has been the one that I've been selling a lot lately, which is that peach, lovely, beautiful David Austin Juliet Garden Rose. Aww, I love that rose.
Here's another one, gold and lilac. So if you go with a very light gold, lilac's a very light pink.
It's a purple, more purple.
Purple, yeah. Very light purple.
And it's really washed out. It's not very. It's very. It has a lot of gray in it. I love the one I call it the River Rock palette, and you can add metallics to it really easily. But if you ever look at the bottom of a river, especially here because you can see them.
That's right. You sure can.
All the river rock, or you go to the beach on the coast here, and it's all the rocks on the beaches, and there are all those different dark grays and blacks.
Yeah.
Black is the ultimate neutral color because it's a color without color.
That's right.
And if that makes sense to you. Black is the absence of color.
That's right.
So blacks, grays, neutral browns, and I love using those. And you can add like the gunmetal tones with the metallics, like the angle iron and the warehouse feel to that, and it would make it stand out. And so that's my ultimate palette right now.
You can absolutely have a neutral colored wedding with pops of something awesome.
Right.
Like the metallics. Bright, even.
If you're choosing a neutral palette, though, you only want one bright color in there. And really and truly, if it's going to be that one pop of color, it needs to be something bright and stand out.
And bold,
Like a coral or a bright pink or like the Marsala color from 2015.
But I also think if you're going, let's say you're going with gray and organics. If you want to throw metals in there.
Oh, yeah.
Some silver, some gold, some rose gold.
I consider metallics kind of on the neutral side.
Right. And you can use them all. You don't have to go with all gold.
Right. You can use all metallics because they all kind of blend in because they all have tones from each other.
Right.
Like if you use a rose gold, you have the pink and then the gold, so you can add more gold to it. Gold has undertones of silver, So, I mean, you can put all the metals together and it makes it eclectic. It makes it modern.
It does.
We love to use different metallics in weddings. And I stress to my brides, don't stick with one. Like I was trying to convince one of my brides to use the silver and the gold votives that we have. And she goes, oh, no, I don't like that. And I said, it'll go really well. She goes, it's too yellow. The gold ones are, which they are kind of. But they'll kind of tone down because it'll kind of be dark in there and it won't be that bad. But she's like, no, I'll just use the silver.
Yeah, that's understandable. Yeah. But you can go with more than just one is what we're saying. You don't have to stick to one.
Silver and gunmetal is awesome. That's all I'm saying.
So the use of natural elements and textures give your neutral wedding some depth and dimension and some boldness and some, what's the word?
Some rustic elements.
Interesting, something that's interesting to look at and feel. It just, instead of the blank kind of very muted, it just gives it something there.
That you can touch and feel. It gives you that texture and that tactile experience. Branches, driftwood, even, if you're having an outdoorsy theme with all the natural elements, deer antlers, we've seen a lot of them for the past year. Rocks, as I said, natural fabrics. I'm not just talking about burlap. Yes, burlap's in there.
Right.
But natural cottons, like the woven silks, the ones that have all the texture in them, not just the flat silks.
Right. Like the tablecloths that have the rosettes all over them. It's not a flat scape.
Like linen material, wools, cashmere in the winter. Use wools, use cashmere. You don't have to use them everywhere.
Right.
But like maybe you have a cashmere pashmina for your bridesmaids and it's kind of chilly outside. So you give them, that's their gift and they can wear it during the wedding. Just little touches like that bring more depth and dimension to your wedding. Hemp is a really good one now. It's a really popular one. And jute cord. Jute, anything, not just cord, but like rugs. Maybe you're standing in front of an altar and it's a plain altar. Find a jute rug, put it on there, stand on it. It gives you texture.
Yes, and they're all still pretty neutral, kind of organic, earthy type things. And when I think of a neutral wedding, I think more of organic and earthy.
Right.
But you can definitely kick it up, like we said, with throwing something bold in there or the metals.
Right. So, yes, you have your neutral color palette, but maybe add that bright coral color if you're having a peach and gray wedding. Add a bright coral color in your flower arrangements. It'll make them pop off the table.
That's right. So neutral doesn't mean boring.
Right.
That's what we're trying to say. It doesn't have to mean boring. But if you want it all neutral, just very plain, very washed out looking, that's fine if that's what you want.
And there's tons of Pinterest on there.
Oh, yes.
You just look up neutral color palettes and it'll give you so many ideas. And it's like natural papers and everything's, there was even one that was cardboard.
Oh, wow.
And it was interesting. Their invitations was that pressed cardboard like you get for your cereal boxes or whatever, and it was pressed cardboard and it had letterpress.
It's kind of like a thicker craft paper,
right? And it had letterpress on it.
I bet they were pretty.
Yeah, they were.
I bet they were really.
It was
pretty.
in metallics. The letterpress was in metallics. Oh,
that's really cool.
So it was cardboard with the gold metallics.
That's a neutral and organic, kind of earthy, but then it's got this pop on it.
Right.
Oh yeah, I like that. I like that a lot. That's our natural, neutral wedding colors episode for you. I just think you can do so much with it. You just don't have to be stuck into this one little, let's have a beige and tan wedding.
Right. And you don't need the polyester tablecloths. Yes, you have a white base maybe.
Yeah.
And then you add natural elements on top. They have all the jute runners and the placemats and things that you can get, fairly inexpensive if you want.
Right.
Or you can probably rent them.
That's right.
But add some texture and dimension to your tables. It would bring them out more.
And you don't have to go with a white tablecloth. You can definitely go with a pale color, right?
Yeah.
And then build on that. Know that you have options when you're thinking neutral. So we have a Patreon page. It's a place where you can monetarily support us from Ring to Veil. We can bring you better stuff. We can bring you more stuff. We can bring out more giveaways. We can go to podcast symposiums and conferences so we can learn what we're doing, make this thing a lot better than it is now. If you want to give $1, we'd be very happy for that. And we'd thank you so much.
So go to fromringtoveil.com/give and it'll take you directly to our Patreon page.
And remember, you can reach us anytime by email, info@fromringtoveil.com for questions, comments, suggestions, topics, anything you'd like. We'd love to talk to you.
So until next time, no stress, no worries, keep calm and listen on. Thank you for listening to our podcast. You can find us on Facebook, From Ring to Veil, on Twitter, @From Ring to Veil, and on our website, fromringtoveil.com.
Music provided by bensound.com.